Bestie Brides. Welcome, welcome back. It is 2026, and I have my first destination bride for 2026. Here I have Kanechi. She's so amazing. She reached out to me, y'all. Like,
Did.
what?
I
And
did.
I am so excited to get into her and her story and her resort tips and all the things. So, Kenichi, please tell us, who are you? Like, why are you here? Like, all the things. Like, tell us.
Well, thank you, Daniel, for having me. I really, really appreciate it because you could have easily said no, but you agreed, and I love that. Honestly, I your video and your experience with being a destination bride, and a Black destination bride, right? Being a destination bride, I watched one of your videos and it instilled so much in myself and my husband where I was like, I feel like I need to give back because I feel like it's so hard for us sometimes to find videos that are honest videos about planning process, even if it's not destination, even if it's just a regular wedding. It's so hard to sometimes find videos based on your resort or based on your ethnicity or anything. So I wanted to give back the same way you gave me. So that is why I had to share my story with you.
Amazing. God bless you. I feel like that is a trend, because when you go through that process, you just want to help other brides do better, be better. And
Yep.
so I am super stoked that you're here. And so we're just
Yeah.
going to get into it.
Yes.
So I want to know the journey that it was towards one, you choosing a destination wedding and then choosing your resort. If you can share that for me.
Yeah, I think I always knew I was going to do a destination wedding. I didn't know who the groom was going to be or who the guests were going to be, but I always knew that I wanted a destination wedding, especially the older that I got.
Mm.
Um, I think more so because I'm so big on intimacy. I'm so big on like just keeping things together under one where it actually feels meaningful.
Mhm.
And I'm a little introverted. Always knew that I didn't want my wedding to feel like a big production.
Mm.
Lights, camera, action, the whole thing. I just kind of wanted something that felt true to me and true to my love story.
Mhm.
Um, and I wanted it to be more than just a couple hours.
Mm.
I wanted to spend a couple days with the people that I love. And I was just like, I just love the idea of being off somewhere with the best people ever, and you're just having fun for a couple of days. And it helps to weed out some people where you probably don't want to be there. Um, it's no direct hit, right? But a wedding should be very, very intentional,
Mhm.
down to the guest list. So that's what really made me come upon saying, you know what, we're definitely having a destination wedding.
Mhm.
When my husband and I were still engaged, I pitched a whole destination wedding thing to him, how it's going to be more intimate, how it's a couple of days, you get out the country, and you get more bang for your buck. He was sold, especially on the bang for your buck.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
was sold on that. And throughout choosing a resort, I wanted the resort to feel I wanted it to feel intimate as well, but I also didn't want it to be like a snooze fest.
Mhm.
I knew that I have nieces and nephews who were going to be ring bearers and flower girls,
Okay.
so I knew it had to be family friendly.
Yep. Mhm.
I was battling between Jamaica and Mexico.
Okay.
I love Jamaica. I love Jamaica,
Okay.
and I kind of wanted to have that Yaman vibe a little bit.
Yep. I know the
I
vibes. I
felt
know the
like
vibes.
I felt like Mexico just had a lot more variety
Mm.
with different types of resorts and different areas. I looked in Cabo. There was a Hard Rock there that was very nice, but it was just
Mhm.
too big. It was just
Mhm.
too big. It was too
Mhm.
massive. I looked in Puerto Vallarta, which was also very nice, but then I had to consider people who were flying from certain areas of the states. Puerto
Mhm.
Vallarta doesn't have a lot of direct flights,
Mhm.
so that's something I had to keep in mind. So we fell on to Cancun in the Costa Mujeres area, which is north of Cancun.
Mhm.
When I was like, Cancun, it's like a party place, and we've been to Mexico prior to this and loved it.
Nice.
But I kind of want like a different area, something. something nice. But I said, you know what? I'm not going to worry about what part of Mexico it's in. I'm just blessed to be able to even do a destination wedding because some people don't have the privilege
That part.
to have a destination wedding. So
Mm-hmm.
I looked high and low, finest resorts, Palladium resorts,
Mm-hmm.
this resort, and I came across Majestic Elegance Costa Mujeres
Mm-hmm.
and immediately fell in love.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately fell in love with the landscaping, the beach, because I think it's in that northern part of Cancun.
Yep.
The beach, the sand is like white and it's soft, like that baby powder
Yep.
sand with the
Mm-hmm.
turquoise water. And
Yes.
I was just like, this is it. So I did a bunch of research on Facebook. I did a lot of research on YouTube, just looking for any insight. I watched probably every single vlog of the resort you could think of
Mm-hmm.
just to get some insight. And I said, you know what, I'm sold. I'm sold. It felt like us.
Mm-hmm.
And also looking at some of the wedding venues that they had, um, I wanted that to make sense too, because I feel like when you're dealing with choosing a resort for a destination wedding,
Mm-hmm.
you're not just thinking about the resort overall, but also where you're gonna get married, because that's why you're going there. So what does
That part.
what
Mm-hmm.
does this venue look like? So their ceremony sections were very pretty.
Okay.
They have a garden gazebo, which is where we got married, and they
Okay.
also have another one that's popular. It's like they call it like the sky terrace.
Yep.
Very, very beautiful. It's overlooking the ocean. It's very
Mm-hmm.
nice,
Mm-hmm.
but it just didn't really, it didn't feel like us. But the
Okay.
garden gazebo felt like us. It was surrounded by water, like fountains.
Yeah.
Um, and I was sold. And for
Okay.
reception, I always kind of envisioned having like an outside terrace reception overlooking water and the string
Mm-hmm.
lights, and we're dancing the night away.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to remember we're getting married in June, and that's not going to go over well being outside. So they did
Mm-hmm.
have a ballroom. I wasn't all the way in love with the ballroom, but I I trusted the process enough to say it will be fine. It will be fine. It wasn't the worst ballroom I ever saw. It will be fine. I just kept doing my reviews, kept looking. I joined the Facebook group page of it and everything. So I said to myself, it will be fine. It will be fine. We never did a site visit.
What?
No,
Girl.
we never did
Just
a site
straight
visit.
pictures and videos was enough.
I YouTubed everything.
Okay.
And like,
That's
I
why it's
YouTube.
so important. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
that's why it's important. I
yeah.
YouTube everything. When we got to the resort, well, that was our first time being at the resort, and we
Mhm.
saw the ballroom. I was floored.
Wow.
Floored. I said, "Oh, best decision ever." Best decision ever. It exceeded my expectations just actually seeing it in person.
Yeah.
So that was, yeah. I always knew I wanted a destination wedding. I just wanted things so intimate, not boring, right? We had 50 people, so it was strong but mighty because we partied. We partied all weekend.
Hmm.
But I knew that I wanted it to be the right amount of people with the right amount of vibe. So
Hmm.
always knew I love palm trees. I just there's something
Okay.
about it that makes me happy. So
Okay.
I
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
that I was like, palm trees has to be a part of my love story. It just
Mhm.
has to be. And Majestic Elegance was just tens across the board. It
Hmm.
was awesome. Yes.
Okay. So I just back up because that was just so much information. So like you no, I'm like happy that you said it all, but I'm also like I want to dissect some of the things that you said, right?
Sure,
And
sure.
so like all right, we decided between Jamaica and
Mhm.
Mexico, right? You
Yes.
saw more of a variety in Mexico as far as like resorts that were available to you. Would you say that?
Yes, resorts that kind of, because I wanted a modern looking resort.
Okay, modern.
So I was like, Jamaica's nice, right? Because they have a lot of these nice resorts.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, okay, this is nice and modern looking, but it's adults only.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, this one is kid friendly, but I don't like the venues.
Right.
So whereas
Okay.
coming into Mexico, where it's like every other, there's resorts on top of each other in
Mhm,
Mexico.
mhm.
So it had more options in terms of I can find a reasonably priced modern resort that is adult friendly with nice wedding package and nice wedding venues. I think I had more of those options in Mexico, just because Mexico has tons more
Yes.
of resorts. Yeah.
Very true. And let me
Mhm.
stop you there because, like, even brides who are watching this, like, okay, I'm Jamaican, right? So
Yeah.
I love Jamaica. I've been
Me
there
too.
many times, like every summer, like all the things. And so, yes, it definitely has those wonderful vibes with service and all those things.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel the same. And so many brides feel the same as well. When we look at these Jamaica resorts,
Mhm.
they are wonderful, but
Mhm.
they're on the older side. They need a lot of renovations that need
Yeah.
to happen, right? And so, and I know that, with the hurricane that just happened and there was a lot of
Yeah.
hotel shutdowns, and
Yeah.
I know that Jamaica will definitely come back bigger and better than ever because a lot of
Mhm.
these resorts are closed now and they're working on them.
They're renovating them. Hmm.
I do
Hmm.
feel like in 2026 and in 2027 that Jamaica will have more variety that we're looking for. Even with the older resorts that they had before, there will be a lot of renovations, and I do think that we're going to see more weddings there. That was one of my predictions for 2026. But as far as
Okay.
pricing, also Mexico is definitely more affordable.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I feel like when I was making that decision as well, I was like,
Hmm.
as much as I love Jamaica and as much as I want to give that ode to my people and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like the Mexico just had it be inventory wise, wedding space wise. It was just
Yeah.
so much more of a fit. And like you said, there's so many places in Mexico, and you can have the party, you can have the chill family vibes, you can have the
Yep.
things like not everywhere in Cancun is a bunch of college students going crazy,
Right.
you know?
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And so I definitely agree with you there. I am mind boggled at the fact that you didn't even visit the resort ever, but you
No,
looked at
ma'am.
stuff online. That is amazing. And that is also an alternative for people that, sometimes it's costly. It's costly to make that trip. I was able to do it, but we were there for such a short period of time. And
Hmm.
honestly, if I was able to find enough to make me feel comfortable, I probably would have
Hmm.
went myself because it was money.
Yes.
It's money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, like, if you're able to get enough resources to kind of see, like, this wedding resort fits what I have in mind.
Mhm.
I'm looking at these YouTube videos. I am looking at these Instagrams. I am talking to brides. I'm joining these bride groups. Were you a part of
Mhm.
any like bride groups talking to any brides that have been married there?
I was in the Facebook group for the resort's bridal. It was like Majestic Elegance Costa Mujeres brides, and
Mm-hmm.
it was golden.
Yes.
You get the real reviews. You
Okay.
get the real. So I was in that group even during like me narrowing down between a few resorts, and
Okay.
that one just kept speaking to me. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
yeah, very helpful. So there's
Yes.
enough. Not every resort, and I'm hoping that
Yeah.
over time that will change. But there is enough out there sometimes to make a decision and just not go.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that you were able to fall in love with it in person as well when you went. So that's awesome.
Yes. Thank
Okay, so we
you.
already got you. You said that got married in a garden, right?
Mhm.
And then where was the reception?
The reception was in the ballroom.
It was in the ballroom, right? You said
Yes.
you fell in love with the ballroom, and that's wonderful. So I want to know from you, how many people came to your wedding?
We had in, we had 50 people at the wedding.
Okay.
50
Okay.
people at the wedding. Perfect 50. Yeah. Yep. 50
Perfect.
people.
Okay, that's great. That's a nice round number and
Hmm. Very nice round
kind of easy
number.
to navigate. That's awesome. Okay. And so with the ballroom, was it a ballroom that you had the whole ballroom, or you where it was like half
No, we
that
had
was
the entire
in
ballroom. We had the
entire
entire ballroom. Yes.
Okay.
The entire.
Amazing. Okay. So you got it. You got what you wanted. That's amazing. Okay. So then walk me through kind of the more stressful parts of the wedding, right? So we've chose our venue, send out our invites, right?
Mhm.
So those was that a stressful part for you or
No, not really.
okay. All right.
I sent it. We sent it off. If you're
Okay.
coming, great.
Great. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, walk me through kind of what were the hard parts of like planning this thing.
I think I'm trying to think because honestly, I feel like I didn't really have that much of a hard time planning.
Okay.
I think the hardest part about planning was trying to stay within budget a little bit, which also
Mm-hmm.
wasn't too bad. I mean, that's probably every couple's biggest, thing. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more so, this is gonna sound funny, but choosing a glam team.
Mm.
Now, the reason why this was stressful was because we're going to Mexico, and I didn't have a lot of resources in terms of makeup artists or hairstylists that can do Black women.
Yep.
Now they are out there. There's tons now. And I did have a few that I came across on Instagram,
Hmm.
but unfortunately, the resort had a $1,000 outside vendor fee,
Yep.
and I was like, okay, how am I going to how am I going to save $1,000 on a vendor fee for hair and makeup? Do I fly out someone from the States? Because now they're going to charge me, they want everything covered.
Yep.
So maybe that's going to be more. So I think that was kind of something that stressed me trying to figure out what I wanted to do with glam.
Okay.
Um, the second thing that stressed me a little bit
Hmm.
was decor.
Hmm.
Not because I wanted all of this decor everywhere,
Hmm.
more so because there were a lot of things that I liked that I wanted to bring, but
Mm.
you can't chug everything.
Nope.
You cannot bring everything. So reaching out to the decor companies, it's like, oh, their prices are good. But then there's a $1,000 vendor fee. So
Yes.
I think the hardest part planning, and I don't want this to sound insensitive to what other people go through with planning, but I think the hardest part planning was trying to navigate that, because there are some pros and cons to having a destination wedding. And I think with this resort, they're actually known to have some of the highest vendor fees in the
Mm.
area. So
Okay.
I think trying to navigate staying on budget
Hmm.
and navigating a $1,000 vendor, because $1,000 is a lot of money.
It is.
It's a lot. It's a
It
lot of
definitely
money.
is.
It's for a fee. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? For a fee. If it was $500,
Yep.
750,
Yeah.
cool. But a
Yeah.
thousand. And then the
Hefty.
thing is, if your vendor brings like a helper
Right.
or a staff, it's an additional $90 for that. So
Mm.
you could get to 1,100, 1,200 very fast. So
Hmm.
for that to be a fee really stressed me. I was like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do?
Okay.
What am I gonna do? So I think trying to navigate the vendor fee and having the right vendors, for me was the tough part.
Okay.
And in the end, I loved every single vendor. Everyone knocked it out the park. But
Yes. Awesome.
yeah, that was tough. That was
Yeah.
tough. That was
Can you give
tough.
us some shout outs on some of the vendors that you used, that you ended up going with?
Yes. So for florals, I use Kendi Flowers. It's K apostrophe NDY Flowers.
Okay, I'll tag
She,
them in the video. So,
okay.
but it's okay.
She's
You can spell it out.
awesome. She's a doll. Like 3 days before I left to the wedding, I had to message her on WhatsApp to still take out things from like my floral, arrangements.
Hmm.
She did it, no problem.
Wow.
She was awesome.
Amazing.
My videographer was
Okay.
Cineluke, Mexico. They were awesome.
Yep.
We chose them essentially because they offered raw footage, and
Mm.
that was what was very important to my husband and I. We were like, back in the day, you used to just watch weddings that looked like home videos.
Yep.
So we had an edited video from them, like a 25, 30-minute edited video,
Yep.
and they sent us all the raw footage. So we
Yeah.
have, and I ended up like editing it a little bit and putting it together myself. So we have like 7 hours of our wedding day.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing that you
So
even have.
yeah, honestly, I was like, I don't want to pay all this money and just have 20 minutes, but
Right.
they were fantastic about giving us raw footage for no additional charge.
Hmm.
And then my photographer was Cancun Photography.
Okay.
Oh, I sent some pictures to people, and some people were like, forget what's in the picture. Who is the photographer? Everybody was like, who is the photographer? These photos eat. Like, these
Yeah.
photos are so nice. And the
Wow.
photographer was awesome. Kinko Photography, they did their thing. So
Okay.
those three were like lifesavers. They were
Amazing. And these were
awesome.
all outside vendors that you had to
Yep.
pay that fee for. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Yep.
but it was worth
Outside.
it. It was worth it in the end.
Oh, more than worth it. More
Yeah.
than worth it. For
Yeah.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that's to some of those brides where, like I totally understand that every coin is valuable, right? But
Yes.
sometimes when you take these vendors from these resorts and they give us stuff and it's like, oh, these are things that the things that last after the wedding, like the photos, right? Like pictures where you're wearing makeup, right? Those things, you're gonna look back at those pictures, you're gonna look back at that photography, you're gonna look back at
Yep.
that raw footage and sometimes
Yep.
the florals, and you're just like, oh, that $1,000, like, and I can't count people's pockets. I cannot
Right.
do it, but I am a living testimony of
Yep.
sometimes looking at that videography and just being like, I really wish I paid for a content creator, or I really wish I actually put in
Yes.
money. Because like some of our photos, just the overall, like you said, working with people of color, the shading because of the
Yeah.
sunlight, like those pictures are no good. Like you take them to whatever photographer or whatever, and they'll just be
Yeah.
like, "Sis, I can't. Why did they do this to you?" Right? And it's
Mhm.
like they just don't have the experience working with us again. And I do think over time that might change. The more of us that have
Yes.
weddings that are destination, the more practice
Hmm.
that they'll get. But
Hmm.
until then, it's like, do you really want to take this L? No, I don't. And makeup was one of the things that I didn't want not want to take the L on. And I actually got away with not paying the vendor fee because I
Oh,
paid
nice.
for his stay and was it just his stay? And he came in as like a guest pass, which is like not allowed.
Mm.
But that doesn't always work, right? And
Yeah.
so, but I was willing to take the L for my makeup because I went to a makeup trial, girl,
Oh,
at the
yeah.
resort that I was getting married at, and I was like, I could have done this myself. So I was like, no, I'm not. I will pay. I will
Yeah.
pay. Yeah, I will pay it. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes you gotta take that L. But I'm
I
so
agree.
glad that you were able to find vendors that fit you. And so, how did you find them? Did you just like doing research?
Yeah, I found so the videographer Sina Luke was actually in the bridal group because there are some vendors in there that's like pick me.
Yep.
So they kept they were like we offer 10 hours of
Yep.
photo and video for 1900, and I was like, excuse me. So I went to their Instagram, and while they do have really beautiful pictures, it was just a
Yeah.
little too dark of a
Yeah.
theme for me. While
Mhm.
I wanted something more bright, more light.
Right.
But I was like, let me get your video package. We weren't too picky on video,
Okay.
more so just having that raw footage was our main thing.
Gotcha.
So that's how I found the videographer. The photographer, I think I just put in hashtags in Instagram, to be honest with you.
Take notes,
And
friends. Take notes. Keep
I put
dropping
in
them
just put in the search bar Cancun
gems.
photographer, because
Yep.
a lot of the vendors, they hashtag on their posts and stuff so
Yep.
that we can find them.
Yep.
And I was
Yep.
like, oh, this is nice. And I went on their Instagram, and they capture black skin like chef's kiss.
Yes.
Showed it to hubby. He was just like, oh, this is nice.
Yes.
And I reached out, DM'd. I said, "Hey, what's your prices?" They gave me the
Mhm.
prices. I said, "Can we get on a call?" And that's another thing too. Get on a call with all of your vendors. Speak to
Mhm.
all of your vendors. So all of
Mhm.
them. We got
Mhm.
on a call. Loved his vibe. It's a husband and a wife team,
Mhm.
and they had shot at the resort before too. So
Mhm.
they're familiar with the resort and everything.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we chose, I want to say 5 hours, and I wish I chose them for the rest of the night because
Yeah.
they did such a fantastic job. So, yeah, I found them on it. And then the florist, she was highly used from the brides in that resort. She
Mhm.
was very much highly used. So all of when the brides would give their reviews, they would
Yeah.
tag their vendors. So they were like, florist was Kendi, or decorator was this person. And I
Yes.
kept seeing her name come up, and she
Yeah.
would do amazing work. So I
Mhm.
reached out to her, and she'll put an invoice together based off of what you send her. So she doesn't have like a package, right? She just, what do you
So,
want? Yep.
uh,
What do you want? I'll put it together,
yeah.
and she'll send you an invoice, very affordable. And it was love at first sight.
Amazing. Y'all join the bridal groups.
Join the bridal
Join the
groups.
bridal groups
Join the
and
bridal
listen to these
groups.
brides because it's so true. Searching the hashtags on Instagram, TikTok, joining the bridal groups to get the tea about all of these
Yes.
vendors. This is all really, really good stuff. So yes, you're
Yes.
preaching, girl. You're preaching. Okay.
Ryan.
So all right, let's talk about how you're gonna like, subscribe, and watch our next video that talks more about this amazing wedding. Bye.